This is Campaign 2008, brought to you by the News Herald and Lakeland Community College. And today we're going to be talking with the two candidates for the office of Clerk of Courts in Geauga County. On the left is Bonnie Cavanaugh, the Democratic candidate. She's the challenger. She's seeking office for the first time. And on the right is Republican incumbent Denise Kaminski, and she is seeking a fourth term. She's held this office for the last 12 years. I'm Jim Collins. I'm editor emeritus of the News Herald and executive in residence at Lakeland Community College, and with me is Tricia Ambrose. She's the executive editor of the News Herald, and she's going to have the first topic of conversation.
Thanks, Jim. We'll start with you, Denise, for the answer, and then to you, Bonnie, same question. Okay. What do you think are the most important aspects of this job, and do you think it should be an elected position or should it be an appointed one?
I believe it should be an elected position. I believe that the voters have a right to choose which candidate would best serve Geauga County residents. I think the most important issue, is that what you're saying, question, is the most important issue in the clerk's office is keeping all the documents, filings for the legal office on time and keeping them running through the court system the way they should be, keeping up with technology. And in the title office, making sure that the residents are served, being able to get their auto title pretty quickly. We usually have a good turnaround time. We usually get their title out that same day. Sometimes the dealers maybe will pick up their work the following day, but it's a very timely issue with our office, and we work very hard in our office to make sure the residents are served very timely.
I agree that it should be an elected position. First of all, because it makes people aware of what the qualifications of the person is and lets them choose. So I agree with that. I also, I would have to say the most important part of this job is actually managing all of the departments. And because when you manage the departments, you are responsible for overseeing, making sure that the revenues are there to sustain each department, to make sure that things are being processed properly, that the services are being reached in a timely fashion. Right now, I don't see that that's been occurring, and that is one of the reasons why I'm seeking this position. That it's just, there's been a lot of mismanagement, and we have to do something to turn that around. So that's the best I can tell you this in the short answer.
Bonnie, we'll start with you this time, and then Denise.
Sure.
This time of year, candidates are talking to a lot of people. They're going door to door, knocking on doors. They're going to fairs and parades. What's on people's minds? Anything? Do people talk to you about when you say you're running for this office? Do you get any feedback on the office, or are they talking about national issues? What are you hearing?
I was actually quite surprised. Many of the people that I speak to actually are aware what the clerk of court's position is, and they have been quite alarmed by some of the things that I've identified as weaknesses. As far as their response to a clerk of courts coming to their door, many of them are very surprised to have a politician come to their door in Geauga County, first of all. But as far as the reaction, I've been very well received, and I think that they have identified it's time for change. Their biggest concern is the economy and how we're going to turn that around. And I actually have a plan, so that's probably why I've been so well received. And
Denise, how would you respond to that? What do you hear is on people's minds?
I know a lot of people in the county. I've been attending functions, dinners, functions that raise money for different events for a lot of years. I know most of the chamber people, and my husband and I volunteer for many organizations. So I do know most of the people. So most of the people, I think, feel very comfortable if they have an issue with my office, if they have a question, a concern. I even get calls from residents, even on a Sunday morning, maybe asking me a question about an auto title or something, about the legal office as far as the process that goes on. So most of the people that I come in contact with, they may not know about my office. They may ask me, if I meet some people for the first time, they may want to know what the clerk of courts does, and I usually explain the difference between the two offices and the processes that we go through. Actually, they really don't discuss national politics with me. Most of the time they know the local officials are there to serve them and their needs. So most of the questions that I receive are, you know, they may ask me even about the License Bureau, which I usually direct them that is not something that we deal with. It's usually titles, not licenses. But most of the time, you know, when they find out what we do, they have questions about our caseload and what's going on in our office, and that's most of their concerns is local.
We'll reverse the order again this time. What would you say are your top 3 qualifications for this position?
Before being elected Clerk of Courts, I worked under Betty Montag, who was my predecessor. She was the previous Clerk of Courts. She was Clerk of Courts for 16 years. And I worked as a deputy clerk in the legal office, and I felt that I really was familiar with the legal office, all the procedures in the office. And I think when you're on the other side of the chair, of course, you always have an opinion about how the office could be run better. What I had strived to do was keep communication open between the residents and our office. Also, tried to establish a good relationship between all the elected county officials and myself and the employees, and make sure things ran smoothly. The one thing that we did do is I have a box and I have a little sheet that basically says "Help us help you," and it's a question for residents, so that if they don't feel comfortable calling me, or if they see me on the street and they don't want to talk about their problem, they can fill out something, put it in the little box, and either complain or make a good comment, and it's nice to know. And I also encourage them to leave their telephone number, so if they do have a problem or an issue, they can call me. But most of the time I find that most people are, you know, they call me. If they have an issue, they call me at the office or they call me at home, and they're very open to that. So, the title office, I spent some time in the title office, and actually even today, after 12 years, I still make sure that I spend probably somewhere between 20 minutes and 2 hours at the title office every day. I want to make sure that my office runs smoothly, and so I keep in close contact with my supervisor. And I also make sure that my employee that works down in the archives, microfilming, is on track and things are going well, because we're trying to keep up on the microfilm also.
Excuse me. There's actually three things you wanted to know. Mm-hmm. Could you restate that question just so?
What would you say your 3 top qualifications are for this position? Okay.
The fact that I have more than 10 years accounting and administrative experience. I also have I am a degreed paralegal, so I do have the legal background to understand the documents and the statutes as they're revised, as well as I have a bachelor's in urban studies, which I received from Cleveland State summa cum laude, which actually prepared me to run a governmental office. That type of a degree covers a widespread understanding of the budget, statistics, things that a government manager should know how to access and to develop. My third reason that I feel that I'm qualified is through my experience and my education. I actually have developed a plan before even going into the office to rectify some of the things that I've identified as issues. I know that my opponent here has identified a huge need for increasing of the staff, but has been struggling in finding the funding to be able to support that staff in order to increase the services and increase the hours. Can you tell nerves are playing a role here? Increase the hours and the availability of community services. But there's actually a way to access the funds without increasing the cost to the county, to the taxpayers. And with that plan, I actually feel that I can actually facilitate the changes that office requires.